And in this lesson we take a look at fleshing out some developed concepts for the modern or minimalist version of a monogram. So as mentioned, I've based this on something I actually designed for a client, which was PR Films, and I've taken little snapshots, if you like, of the development process I used. And I'll just stop to share some of the techniques that might save you some time or get you similar results in your project. So again, please use different letters to me and try to apply the principles rather than copy this exactly. But you can see here the first thing I do, again this will be based on some of the ideas in the sketches, is take a font that matches my ideas as closely as possible, just as a time saver. And once you have those locked in, you can start manipulating them, flipping them, seeing if you can find some ways that are possibly not covered in the sketches, that they might overlap and they might work well. Now, as I mentioned in one of the previous lessons, some characters share a very similar shape and form, and P and R are two such characters. So as long as there's something to help visually differentiate one from the other, if you overlap one exactly over the top of the other character, you kind of get this cool effect where you're seeing a little bit of a P, but then you're also getting an R, which is quite clever. Something else I sometimes like to try is adding so kind of ligature you would find in a script font, but applying it to something modern like this. So that can be an option. And adding a little bit of shadowing. So for this concept here to work without having to use two different colors, this shadow kind of hints at the fact this is a separate element. So it's not quite as distinct as the P and the R in the example above, but it's one way you might go about creating that effect. So I really like that concept, and that's one I decided to flesh out and to explore a little further. If we move to my next artboard, you'll see I focused on just how to display this monogram. The same concept, but there are quite a few different ways we could go about this. So I looked at using a shadow, as I just mentioned, at perhaps moving part of the P, reducing from that to create something that looks a little more contemporary. And then also here something that's really outside of a box. Obviously the leg of the R would never stretch from the top left corner, but letting it stretch that far as kind of a stylistic element. And then also reducing a further piece, which I think was present in one of my sketches, and really separating the different elements of these characters and including the shadow. So for modern logos in particular, something that will really help you to to work quickly and manipulate type where you want it to have this kind of effect where the line width of a character is completely consistent throughout, is to use grids. So if you're using Illustrator CC and you have a properties panel open here, you can turn on the inbuilt grids by simply clicking this icon, and that will show you grids. So I haven't aligned to that in this example here, but I'm going to move that to the left and walk you through how you might go about creating that from scratch. So it's good to have a reference, even one of your sketches if you want to plonk that in place. And really you're trying to look and find out what reference points you can use to keep things consistent. So if we look at the top part of the R, so with my reference on the left, I'm going to start drawing this out. Another tool you can use directly below the option to show or hide the grid is to snap to the grid. So you want to make sure that's turned on. And I'm just going to use the rectangular shape tool, and I'm going to start copying some elements of this. And as a rule of thumb, I'm going to use 3 squares in this grid. That's going to be the weight, if you like, of the different elements of this character for me. And if you like, you could start with the whole thing to make sure it ties up nicely before subtracting in the places where I've done that. So you can see it's the goal here is to keep it nice and mathematically sound so that it looks geometrically balanced. So the space between the 2 sections of the R here are going to equal enough room for exactly 2 lines. I'm going to use the ellipse tool and drag out, holding Alt from the center, to create the outline of the rounded part of the P. I'm going to select it and copy it, then paste it in front, the shortcut for which is Command F, and then manipulate it by hitting free transform, shortcut is E, and dragging, holding the Alt and Shift modifiers. I'm going to drag down until, and it's difficult because the grid is somewhat hidden on the shaded section of this shape, but remember we want the width to span exactly 3 squares of this grid. So if you look to the right of my cursor and you follow that along, you can see we've got 3 squares from the edge at the top and 3 from the edge at the bottom. And what we'll do now is shift click to select both of those shapes, Shift M for the shape builder tool, and we're going to reduce the center of that shape, leaving us with the curved section of a P in the exact width that we're looking for. Now I'm going to start attacking the area I want to reduce from. So again, I just use the rectangular tool, and I'm going to drag to that point there, just in the middle of the circle. And you can probably guess what happens next. We select those group shapes, bring up the shape builder tool with Shift M, and holding Alt, we're going to subtract everything in the center. Now if we wanted, we could click without holding any modifier keys and just let the shape builder tool knit these remaining elements of the shape together. And there we have a geometrically perfect P, at least if this look and feel is your intended goal. So now for the leg of the R, in the example here, you'll see if I select the top portion of the shape, I found it looked best balanced when the leg was actually poking out by about a square or so, because optically that aligns it. The curved section will never seem to the eye to stick out as far as this section where it becomes quite thin. So for this one we're going to use the pen tool, and with the pen tool selected you want to find something that lines up with the bottom perfectly and comes just 1 square to the right, and I'm going to go 3 squares to the left and click. And now, and it's up to us what angle we want this leg to sit at. I'd like it to just intersect here. I'm going to click, and again 3 squares to the right, and then I'll go back down and click to close off the shape. And if I shade that in the same color, you can see although it's geometrically perfect, it doesn't quite look right to the eye. Because it's a diagonal portion, it gives us the illusion it's thinner than the rest of this shape. So using the anchor select tool, shortcut for which is A. We want to click once to select this side, and shift click to select the top right portion. And if we hit the right arrow key, we fire that across one to the right. So now, even though this spans 4 squares, if we deselect, that looks much better balanced optically. And of course you could turn off snap to grid, and you could use that same process, select 2 of the edges and nudge using the left arrow key if you wanted to fine tune that to get the balancing just right. So one more process remains to recreate the effect I have on the left here, and that's going to be the part we choose to subtract from this shape. So again, rectangle tool, and we're going to drag, doesn't matter what color the shape is, just to overlap the portion of this shape we're going to reduce from. And as long as it's just 2 shapes, you could use a pathfinder and click minus front, but for consistency I'll hit Shift M, and again we use the shape builder. Hold Alt to subtract and drag, and there we've removed the desired portion of that shape. Now in my example to the left here, I had a slightly shorter portion of the R, and I had the leg intersect where the R starts to curve. So it was quite difficult to recreate the exact angle to get that shadow right. But in this example here, it would be a simple case of dragging a rectangle over the top of the leg, selecting the 2, and then using again the shape builder just to delete the unnecessary overlap. And we now have this single element or object that we can color as we'd like to sit as our shadow. So I'll select the remaining portions of the R, choose a lighter color, and you can see we have the effect that we're looking for. And with a few exceptions, that's the way I chose to go with this concept. I also created one where the shadowed portion, well, I simply deleted that from the shape entirely and colored the 2 sections a little differently, and so we have something like this. So please try to apply these as principles. You should be able to use this kind of technique with any shape for any letter form you're looking to build. The keys to remember with this kind of modern minimalist style is keeping things as geometrically perfect as you can. Making sure you zoom out at the end and see what this looks like from a distance, so that if you have included gaps or shadows, you can make sure they're sufficient to really separate the shape, even when it's seen at small sizes. So in this stage, in a paid commission, I'd say you've probably got enough to share with your client and present to them. In fact, you might even choose to share some of the sketches and the ideas that led up to these concepts with your client. You've got to play this by ear and based on the client, but sometimes they'll really appreciate being included and feeling like they're part of the journey, as long as you don't overwhelm them with options. Next, usually after a client has decided which concept to proceed with, comes the part where we really begin to push this to its limits. And that will take place in the next lesson, where we look at refining and placing this concept under the microscope.